announcements or something. Did you watch this? Let me see.
UK, which
Xerpa's actually clutch for once. Xerpa's actually clutch for once. Finally, dude. Xerpa's, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, let's see. Boys, we already watched these ones. These are always fun as hell. They get an expert, a firearms expert, an American, who knows all of his rifles and stuff, all of his pistols. And they talk about how they like, what they think about CS, this time CS2 guns. Let's get into it.
This is a collection of thousands of iconic weapons from throughout history. And on this week's episode, we are taking a look at the arsenal of Counter-Strike 2 with a
models changed, right? We already watched this for CSGO and they were always like, this is not like accurate and stuff. CS2, maybe some things got better.
little of the game's colourful flair thrown in.
Hooray, it's an MP5 SD.
That's my man.
Oh no. Oh, what have you
Gotta make it a little bit louder, no? Suck.
done? What on earth is that? Explain.
Let me close CS.
If you want to see more of Jonathan react,
Sorry, now we're ready. Let's go.
thrown in.
Hooray, it's an MP5 SD. Oh no. Oh, what have you done? What on earth is that? Explain.
It's good now.
If you want to see more of Jonathan reacting to the weapons of Counter-Strike 2, make sure to subscribe as we've got more on its way, and be sure to let us know in the comments what other games or guns you'd like to see on the show.
I think the guy who works there watches us as well. Or maybe like knows, because he was the last time when he showed these guns to the expert, he was on our skin server. He was on the same map, he was using gen codes, inspect everything. It was kind of cool.
Right, over to Jonathan and the guns of Counter-Strike 2.
New Deagle model. I would say less accurate now.
I have to, right off the bat, I have to say, spinning a Desert Eagle around one's index finger seems like a
Yo, am I delayed or him?
spectacularly bad idea for the obvious safety reasons of accidentally pulling the trigger if the weapon is cocked and the safety's not on. Every chance of it going off, the trigger on the Desert Eagle is pretty light for what it is, so you don't have the safety margin of a double action trigger, and the thing weighs an absolute metric F-ton. Yeah, you're going to need pretty beefy fingers to pull that off. And I don't recommend that you do try to pull it off. Because the other thing about a light trigger and a very powerful gun, you can even accidentally fire 2 shots from it. In this case, you fire 1 accidental shot while John Wayning it around your finger, and, well, someone's probably dead, and your finger's probably broken. Good meaty sound effects. Nothing worse than a sort of anemic Deagle. Counter-Strike famous for its Deagle, of course, where the nickname, the infamous nickname comes from. So we'd expect them to do it right. So everything looks right to me. Maybe slightly melty around the edges, the model, compared to a real Desert Eagle, which is a bit more sharp-edged, I think. But we've done so...
I wonder how many Desert Eagle owners we have in the chat right now. There must be at least one person who has a Desert Eagle at home right now, no? Me? Yeah. 100%, at least one. The fucking America emoji, oh man. There must be so many people in the chat who have a gun.
So much deagling on this channel that I did not grab one from the drawers for this recording. But, you know, it does what it says on the tin. It's big, it's powerful, satisfying to use. Just don't spin it, for God's sake.
Yeah, okay, sound is different now. React to the sound, please.
Okay, straight into the AK, so-called AK-47, which is not an AK-47. Check out our loadout episode. I've also done one on our Royal Armouries channel about this thorny issue of nomenclature. Long story short, it doesn't apply to this. This is an AKM, the modernised AK introduced in 1959. I think it's a good one too. AKMN to be precise.
No, it's a bad one. It's
One
default.
of the things they added that you can see there is shooting through smoke will leave like a hole in the smoke as the round disturbs it. As it
That
fires
is
through.
interesting. Yeah, the particulate stuff is normally, well, it's almost like a layer, isn't it? It doesn't, like a layer in Photoshop or something. It doesn't kind of affect what's in front or behind it. That's really cool. There's a lot of of fidelity here. So the model is good, textures are good. Obviously, all the technical stuff like the lighting and things is much improved. Little details like that. The muzzle flash looks good. They've gone out and recorded real gunshots. Why do you keep yeeting the gun into the distance?
Oh, Scar pattern! Yeah! Oh my god! I'm telling you, this guy knows! He even knows how to like look in game.
You don't like the case hardened AK?
9.
Yeah, it kind of is. It does look like case hardening, doesn't it? How is it described in the game?
That's the name of this skin.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
it
scar
does.
pattern.
It looks like if you look at an Adams revolver from the 19th century,
what?
the cylinders were color case hardened. Frames on Colts, famously.
It's
And it
scar
has that
pattern blue
oil
jam.
slick finish to it. Do you know, for a skin,
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm saying this because I hate skins of all kinds, really.
Cringe, by the way. Please.
But that actually looks pretty good.
Boom! Oh man. Price may have just went on the Star Trek Factory new version that hasn't been unboxed yet from $1 million to $1 million and 1,000. Boom. Approval, seal of approval from the firearms expert. Zack.
And to Counter-Strike, you'll probably struggle to get one, as this one especially is very expensive.
Oh, yes, the whole economy thing. Well, never mind. Ignore what I just said.
I tell you what,
Come on, man. That doesn't change the fact that the skin looks nice. Come on, man.
would you like to guess how much this one is at the minute?
Based on the drama
Oh, he's gonna... What drama?
in your voice, I'm gonna say
500.
£100.
So a certain pattern of highest it's ever been sold for, because the colors can move around the gun depending on like certain variables. So some got more blue on, and that's more desirable. The most expensive one, $400,000.
Yep. That's at least 200,000 pounds, buddy.
Insanity.
So the AK was sold for $400,000, but it was also to do with the stickers that are on the AK being
Okay.
like a certain rarity and price as well.
Titan Holo.
But yeah, if you wanted that exact color combination with that exact amount of blue or whatever, you're going to spend a lot of money. The skin by itself, I think on Steam, if you wanted a stat track case hardened factory new AK-47, the stat track is the thing in game that counts the kills.
Yeah.
It's £1,000.
So 10 times what I thought it would be.
At minimum, 10 times what you thought it was going to be.
Oh, I want to hear him more, like, talk about skins with him. A1S also new model.
Right, M4A1S, as mentioned in the AR-15 episode. Can't really say for sure whether this is a faithful M4A1. If it's automatic, it's an M4A1. That was the only original difference between the M4 and the M4A1.
Oh, really?
However, right off the bat, this is not either of those. No, definitely not an M4 or an M4A1. It does have an M4 barrel. It could be an M4 lower, except it doesn't have that pinhole in it. I haven't seen any markings on the side as to whether those are replicated from an M4 or not. That would change the picture potentially. But what this appears to be...
Jared, I think the one skin where I prefer the new model, I hate it on the Deagle. I hate the bulky Deagle. I think I like the new M41S model. This thing right there, this little carabiner or whatever. This is meant for like attaching the M9 or something, right? A knife. I prefer this model. I like this little feature.
Whether those are replicated from an M4 or not, that would change the picture potentially.
Yeah.
But what this appears to be is the Colt model M723, which varies a fair bit. This was a Delta Force staple back in the day, and you had different profile barrels, you had different upper receivers, but the one that is an A1 style upper but with the A2 case deflector and A2 forward assist was pretty common a bit later on, as was the M4 pattern barrel with the step cut in it before they transitioned to the true M4. So it's the sort of thing that a lot of people would generically call an M4, and it's based on a real effectively historical firearm now, 40 odd years ago.
Oh, bro, if I was like, I'm wondering what's inside of these cases, bro. Like it sounds like I'm because 9, but like I really want to open these cases in the back. What could be in there? Fucking guns, spray paints or something.
But it's not an M4A1.
All right, simple.
This is, of course, the iconic AWP, as it's always been known in Counter-Strike. It's a pretty iconic rifle in real life and in video games, and Counter-Strike, of course, is known for it. Now, the only place I think I've encountered AWP, other than maybe an issue of Jane's infantry weapons, is the Counter-Strike games, because they went with, that's just the variant they went with, and it became iconic like Deagle did. You know, AWP, or Arctic Warfare Police is what it actually was originally. I don't think AI have offered an AWP for a very long time, but it's meant to be just an Arctic Warfare configured for...
Even Valorant. And chat, like, I thought about this recently again. How much Valorant actually, like, took. The RVP in Valorant is called Operator. Operator. Think about it. Anti-cheat. Valve anti-cheat. VAC. In Valorant? Valorant anti... No, wait, what was it? There was another connection. Valorant anti-cheat. VAC. Think about it. Vanguard. Exactly. Vanguard. VAC. Vang. You see it? They're like, I'm telling you, bro.
Closer range, because as a police marksman, you really are going to be shooting out to maybe only 100 meters at the most, just with a great deal of precision to try and minimize injury and death to...
They stole 70% of the whole word of the anti-cheat that we have. Bruder, shameless.
People who don't want injuring or killing. The use of the AI in this, Accuracy International, not artificial intelligence, in this game tends to be at what would in real life be 100 meters maybe, usually a lot closer, often fired from the hip. So, I don't know, it then becomes more of a sort of glorified shotgun with no spread, but it's got to be in the game. This whole game was built around this, you know, security forces versus terrorists thing, and you need a marksman rifle, and this has done the series proud. I'm not at all surprised to see it here. Hooray! It's an MP5 SD. A really, really cool firearm. Always been a big fan.
So sexy.
You guys know I love the MP5 anyway. And the SD is just an extra layer of cool. Grabbed one off the rack.
Ooh.
This is a bit more vintage.
Oh my
than
god!
The one on screen, probably. If the one on the screen was real. This one's actually
so big.
1977, a good year, slightly older than me. They are astonishingly, or were at least, astonishingly quiet. You can achieve a similar level of suppression now with tweaking ammo and detachable suppressors, but there is still something about the integral suppression of ported barrels and suppressors that slide all the way over the barrel like this, and it's just an iconic look, this thing. This does have the correct SEF lower receiver.
But buddy, you gotta get a nicer skin. What is this? Blood's running default while calling himself an expert? Jesus.
Or trigger group, trigger pack that is on the game gun. So the slightly more modern version is the flat-sided. This is in theory an older MP5 SD. The suppressor units have actually changed over time as well. I think the one on this gun is, again, this era. So late 70s to sort of mid 1980s, which is interesting because you'd expect this to be a brand new one. And they do still, or at least until very recently, produce these things.
Huh? What now? Yeah! What a sexy skin. Kinda. I mean, better than default.
Oh, no. Oh, what have you done? It's ruined.
For what it's worth, I am sorry.
You're not though, are you? It's hollow, Dave. It rings hollow. What on earth is that? Explain.
What do you want from me? It's got a chicken on the suppressor, got a stat track count.
Oh my, with the applied sticker, that is fantastic.
Kills. This was new, so I've only got 3 kills on it.
All I needed to see, Dave, was the word kawaii, because I am sufficiently versed in internet culture to understand what that means.
I put that.
The word. Is he reading the text at the bottom, or what's going on?
Because I am sufficiently versed in internet culture to understand what that means.
I put that on there especially for you.
I know that you
sticker.
did.
Oh my. Okay, dude, there was no need to include a P250 X-ray. Not today, pal. Who told me to watch this video? Except you did this on purpose, no? You did this on purpose, no? Oh man, oh man.
Right, P250. You might look at this and go, P250? That's made up. It's not. It's just a bit less well known. So the P320, which we do have, we have the more modern, up-to-date model. This is the missing link, if you like, between that and the P226. This is that with a polymer frame and a modular trigger group that can be replaced, made hammerless. They then made this gun striker fired, which is why the P320 has that weird block blanking plate on the back of the slide. They've effectively converted a hammer fired gun into a hammerless gun into a striker fired gun. There's a lot more to it than that. I don't want to denigrate the work of the
Bruder.
gun into a striker fired gun. There's a lot more
His gloves are perfect with that P250.
to it than that. I don't want to denigrate the work of the
That's a
SIG,
nice combo.
engineers, but the DNA of the SIG P200 series is very much in the 320. This isn't the 320, this is the 250. So that came out in the mid-2000s. I don't believe it's still available. I think it's in this because it was in prior games. Interesting skin, I'll say that. X-ray.
Yeah.
Faux green and black X-ray look to it. Old-fashioned X-ray at least. These days they tend to be grey, not green. And you can see the magazine spring, the follower, the round, the guide rod and recoil spring, bits of the working parts. Yeah, it's a fun idea for a skin. I'd actually like to see that done on a real firearm. Wouldn't necessarily want to own it or collect it, but I'd like to see it done. So it's something new and different. But I suppose when you have a whole economy based on skins, you're going to do some interesting stuff.
That's a win. My man is not good at the game.
Ingram Model 10, Mac 10, as it's often known. Here's one of ours. We do have.
Oh my god, what is that? What the hell is that? That silencer is humongous.
A number of these. I think we've shown them on the channel before. This has the elephant in the room here. Well, first thing to say in terms of real world usage is you probably do want the suppressor. This thing's loud and a bit of recoil control.
The suppressor is wider than the gun.
From, well, the suppressor itself and the extra weight on the front. You probably do want that on there. And then you want the buttstock deployed, which we don't have done here. And then it becomes a somewhat useful weapon.
What the
Hold
hell?
it back up.
That's an MP9, buddy.
The game isn't interested in it, and let's just pop this suppressor off, and we should end up with basically what you see in the game. This, I think, is the first actual goof I've seen in this game. In the game, when you cock it, the cocking handle goes forward. That doesn't happen on a real Mac 10 because this is straightforward open bolt with a reciprocating charging handle. It will continue to operate like that until you let go of the trigger, and it will remain in the rearward position. The bolt should stay to the rear. We can't see that from this angle, and the charging handle or cocking handle should stay to the rear as well. We also have, incidentally, minor point of interest, you can turn the cocking handle and that will block the bolt in the forward position as an additional safety. So you have fire selector, so that if you accidentally fire, it's only one shot. That's one safety measure. You have the actual sliding safety to block the trigger, and then you have the full-on bolt block of turning the cocking handle as well. Very important to have layered safety with a short, high rate of fire weapon like this that is very easy to accidentally operate. It does not, however, fire when dropped down stairs. Points for those of you who pick up that rather dated reference.
Wait, what? Ooh, auto sniper. Noob tube. Why is it so loud?
Not seeing anything wrong per se with this. Looks good. It's a staple of the series, of course. The G3 SG1 is in fact a G3 FS, retaining its automatic fire capability. This
oh my
is the
god.
SEF, which is German for safe, semi and auto, and a reasonable
What did you say?
EF, which is German for safe, semi and auto, and a reasonable power scope. Now that's changed throughout the life of the rifle. This 70s vintage rifle has a Zeiss 1.5 to 6 power variable, which is actually quite funny. This is a sniper scope, a telescopic sight of the day, but it somewhat replicates, or modern tactical optics replicate how this
bro, I see what people, even RL, it looks like it's a noob gun. What the fuck is he doing?
works. So this is one of the first low power variable optics, making perfect sense for a police marksman's rifle. So you'd look at this and think, oh, it's a long range sniper rifle. It's not. It's a precision close-range rifle. Now, something not found on the base model G3s is this little widget here, which, as you can see, clicks in. When I click it in, it's a 20th century, late 20th century take on the old set trigger that we have on dueling pistols from the 18th century. On this, you press that button in the trigger guard, and then you have that very light trigger pull. This only has that mode. You cannot pull through on the trigger to fire it hastily. Every shot has to be press that and press that.
What?
Now, you flick it to auto, you can pull through on the trigger. So you've either got very, very precise, or you flick it to the rock and roll setting.
Smart. German engineering, remember that.
And you let go with it on automatic, and it will let you do
Wow.
that. So a really interesting trigger group on these, actually.
Oh god, he will hate the skin. Oh no, it already offends me.
Okay, so the Negev. I was looking forward to this because we've not featured it before that I can remember, and it's an unusual sort of parallel universe Israeli Minimi, kind of. It's not. It's their take on a Minimi. Quite a distinct design, actually. This very chunky tapered pistol grip lower here is pretty unique to the Negev. Forgive my pronunciation. I should have looked it up before recording. Otherwise, you would tend to mistake this for a Minimi. It also has the
It's so small, no? I expected it to be a lot bigger.
AR-15 magazine compatibility of a Minimi, but instead of it going awkwardly into the side,
It's fine though.
it just goes into a magazine well at the bottom. So it's almost like a heavy assault rifle.
I don't
that
mind.
Is also belt fed. Quite an interesting design, somewhat successful, but the Minimi is the gun that's really come to the fore in this role. Having said all of that real world stuff, I am instantly faced with a horrific skin that seems to be made out of junk.
Fair. The skin is, in my opinion, as well garbage.
Drop Me is the name of the skin, and I would.
Oh, the sound, yeah, chat. I always wondered, it sounds like it's like suppressed, no? Like it has a suppressor on. I'm really surprised now what he says to this.
So as well as functioning as an emergency magazine well, this is also an attachment point for your belt box, as the game has correctly depicted. So you can just clip in your belt box like it's a mag, but then it's feeding out of the box, not out of the magazine well, obviously. Oh, it's looking extra boxy. I mean, the Negev looks boxy anyway. Somehow that looks a bit too square at the back, like someone made it in a shed. The butt assembly also seems to be incorrect, unless there's a later or different variant of it. It's a very stable system. You'll recognize from the Galil, among other things, but does not match up with what's in the game though. This whole assembly, this whole back plate is completely different. It almost looks like they've come up with their own rear end to the gun that looks more industrial. It's bigger, it's boxier, it has vents in the top of it that the real gun doesn't have, and then the hinge mechanism is different. But then the buttstock itself looks like the real buttstock. I mean, skins don't change the model of the gun, so I'm a bit perplexed by this. On the face of it, it looks like the model is wrong in a couple of important ways.
Sound! No. Didn't react to it.
FAMAS, another iconic pop culture firearm, and of course a very important weapon for the French armed forces. Didn't really see much in the way of sales elsewhere in the world. A bit like the British SA-80 in that respect. A very interesting weapon for sure. This is a reasonable replication of it. Rate of fire seems a little slow. FAMAS is more like 700 if I remember rightly. So that's a little bit slow and chuggy, perhaps. Sound effect for 5.56, it's very subjective, but that maybe isn't as loud as it maybe ought to sound, certainly indoors. I think the AK sound effect is maybe a bit closer. I suppose with relatively exotic firearms like FAMAS, I'm less worried about the implementation of them than I am why are they in the game. So unless your counter-terrorist force is French, they're not going to have access to the FAMAS. Of course, we have to suspend disbelief on that. We want to have a variety of weapons in the game. I'd probably prefer a roster of weapons that would be accessible to the unit that you're representing. But, yeah.
Holy nerds. Doolies. Oh, I hate the new models.
I have equipped myself with twin two-tone Berettas in Counter-Strike style, albeit not like these. These are just 92s. The old Counter-Strike Beretta was the 92G Elite, which has the Brigadier style, or a version of the Brigadier style swollen slide, which these don't have. Neither do the guns in CS2, though, so that's fine. These differ from what I'm holding, which is old school Beretta 92 FS, squared off trigger guard for that obsolete finger on the trigger guard grip. That is what that was for, but not the accessory rail on the dust cover or that weird stepped enlarged front to the trigger guard, which we have here. So these are quite modernized. They're not the very latest Beretta 92 iteration, but they are sort of 2010s accurate. That's a good effort at the dual wheeled reload. Often it's just off camera, magically reloaded. We actually see them fudging in the mags. I think that's just about doable. Just about. You can sort of grasp the magazine with finger and thumb, bring it up and shove it in. Lots of practice and a bit of luck. It might work. Of course, what we don't see with the dual wheels, you would really want the controls mirrored, ideally, so that you can release the magazine on the left-hand gun and ideally close the slide on the left-hand gun. But that takes some significant modification. And actually, the Beretta probably isn't capable of that because it has the trigger bar on the outside of the gun. And you can't really, well, I don't know. Probably you can't, you'd have to do some serious surgery to the gun to swap the slide release from the left. You're right.
Shoot it. No.
Alright guys, thank you for watching as always.
No.
Those were some guns from Counter-Strike 2. Real bit of video gaming history, of course.
I want to see him react to skins.
Hope you enjoyed that. Please do check out our Royal Armoury's YouTube channel, social media channels. Visit us if you can at one of our 3 museums. And if you'd like to, we do have a way to donate on the website as well. But we'll see you again here next week.
Nice video, bro. How was that only? That was 20 minutes? That was quick. Hey, if you enjoy something, the time goes by quickly. That was very